I'm Andy Beningo, and I'm a stand-up comedian. I've been to some pretty cool places, and have worked with some pretty cool people. This is my life on the road.
Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of On the Road with Andy Beningo. And this week's going to be a lot of fun. I'm actually performing some shows in Omaha, Nebraska. But first, I'm going to be making a detour over to the charming town of Norfolk, Nebraska, which is best known as the hometown of Johnny Carson.
For 30 years, Johnny Carson ruled late-night television as the host of The Tonight Show. Every night, Johnny created memorable sketches.
What's that? If I ever catch kleptomaniac Claude Cooper from Cleveland who copped my clean copper clappers from kept in the closet, yes, I'll clobber him.
Created memorable characters, and made The Tonight Show a launching pad for many young comedians. Every comedian wanted Johnny's approval. If you got the okay sign from Johnny, you knew your career was made.
Thank you, Jerry. Take a bow.
Carson was a comedic genius, and even when he bombed, he still managed to make it pretty funny.
I understand she's going to study high tech, so she'll always be able to get a job.
Even when he became a Hollywood powerhouse, Johnny never forgot his roots, and he often talked about Norfolk on The Tonight Show.
It was a big influence in my life. Now, when I was back in Nebraska, growing up in a small town, I grew up in Norfolk, Nebraska.
Johnny loved Norfolk, and Norfolk loved Johnny. In fact, Norfolk loves their hometown hero so much, they do a comedy festival in his honor every summer.
Here we are outside the Johnny Carson Theater. It's a beautiful 1,200-seat performing arts center, and it's attached to Norfolk Senior High School. And this is actually where Johnny Carson not only attended high school, but this is where they do the Great American Comedy Festival every summer.
The Great American Comedy Festival is a 4-day festival that showcases some of the best amateur and professional comedians from all across the country. The festival first began in 2008, and every year have brought in comedy legends to headline their main event.
I think I was only like 2 or 3 years into comedy when I actually got accepted to the Great American Comedy Festival. I got to perform as an amateur in the amateur division, and being able to perform in the theater was a huge thrill.
I love my grandparents because they've reached that age where they don't fight and argue anymore, you know? They'll just end every argument by going, ah! Where's the remote? You had it last. No, I didn't. Yes, you did. Ah!
It was great. They set up the theater exactly like the old Tonight Show, and that's probably the closest I'll ever get.
If performing at the festival wasn't a big enough thrill, I was on the front page of the Norfolk paper the very next morning.
Here we are downtown Norfolk, Nebraska. Here we are outside of Johnny Carson's childhood home, and this is where he grew up and spent the majority of his childhood. It's amazing to me that such a great comedic legend came from such humble beginnings.
Just up the road from the Johnny Carson Theater is the Elkhorn Valley Museum. They're famous because they have the largest collection of Johnny Carson memorabilia in the world.
Now we'll test your funny bone.
Just timeless, funny stuff, man. Still funny 40 years later. Some of the Emmy Awards that Johnny Carson won while hosting The Tonight Show.
Sally Stanford passed away about a week ago. She, I guess, along with
These are actually some of the cue cards that Johnny used during his monologues in the 1980s. Set your clocks ahead 1 hour this weekend. They say you should do it at 2 a.m. You know what I like to do? At 1 minute before 2, I like to call Domino's, set my clock ahead an hour, and then get a free pizza. actually a pretty good joke and actually a pretty good idea. If you enjoyed this week's episode, make sure you click the subscribe button to watch upcoming episodes of On the Road with Andy Beningo. To learn more about the Great American Comedy Festival, head over to greatamericancomedyfestival.com. To learn more about the museum and some of the other exhibits, make sure you visit elkhornvalleymuseum.org.